All right, we back. Look, I want to talk about this right now. We got to start off with, I guess, a congratulations to the Philadelphia 76ers. Would y'all say that's a congratulations? I mean, we didn't break the streak. We just tied it for being the worst ever. And Sixers fans understand this now. Just because we didn't break the streak, we are still the worst team in sports due to the fact that we tied it. We are the most recent. So we're the worst team in sports, regardless if we set the record or not. Now, this is why I don't understand, okay? Because before the game against the Detroit Pistons, we had Sixers fans coming out saying, or should I say fans coming out and saying, how dare any Sixers fan want to see the Sixers lose and break the record. It disgusts me that fans want to see this. Seriously, it disgusts you over a basketball game that they're getting, they may or may not lose. It disgusts you. So let me get it straight. You were okay with 26 other straight losses that you never complained about before, but now all of a sudden, how dare we get number 27? Look, understand this. I want the Sixers to lose number 27 because it sends a message to the franchise, to the front office. Because if you haven't realized as of late, since the previous decade, they have not gotten anything right. These are the same fans who were on board with the Sixers, when we made the playoffs a couple seasons ago. Yeah, and then didn't show up after that. Did you notice something this season? There were 3 times that the stadium has been full. 3 times. The first game against the Miami Heat, Allen Iverson's retirement game. Well, I shouldn't say retirement game, but on the night he retired. And Saturday, when the Sixers had a chance to make history. That's why people showed up. No matter win or lose, they thought that there's a chance that they could be there to witness history. That's why there were so many people there. I guarantee you the next home game, they won't be. Do you understand what's going on here? Now, people, understand this as well. The front office, you have to realize that this is more a slap in the face than anything. And I want to say this because at first, a lot of us were real skeptical of what was going on during this game. For those who don't understand, Brandon Jennings went up for a play. And he was fouled. Clearly he was fouled. He was fouled, all right? But he turns around to the ref, and the ref throws him out the game. And all of us are like, wait a minute. How did he just get thrown out the game like that? He didn't get a tech or anything. And then one of you guys was like, well, he actually got 2 techs. And I was like, I didn't see the tech. And I was like, did you see the tech? And y'all was like, no, we didn't see the tech. Exactly. Now, I'm a big fan, I've said this before, of not talking to the referees. You got to get back on defense play. Don't worry, you'll get the next one. Brandon Jennings went over and talked and, chirped at the ref when he knew he was wrong, and the ref teched him twice back to back. Quick, tech. That's what it was. You have to be kidding me if this is something that is, first off, it's uncharacteristic from a referee to do something like that, all right? Because he was salty. And you know what? Jim Lynam says it himself, that the referee was wrong in the call, and he was a little emotional. He felt really bad that he did it, but then couldn't own up to it like a man.
Jennings going strong to the hole, does not get the foul, presumes that he should have been whistled for the foul, and instead gets 2 quick technicals. He is gone, Coach, and ever since then, the Sixers have dominated this game.
Yeah, it's a big loss, obviously, for the Pistons. Your starting point guard, Marshall, and maybe an overreaction. When a ref knows he's made a bad call, they're a bit sensitive to criticism. Players know that. So shame on Jennings for, harping or continuing to harp at the ref and getting that second tech.
So now you want to say it's the player's fault. Nah, man, no. It's the ref's fault. You said it yourself. He was extra salty because he missed the call. All right? Man up and admit you did wrong. But no, instead, you want to double-tech somebody like that. Now, look, I put it like this. Once you double-tech Brandon Jennings and threw him out the game, for those who don't know, Brandon Jennings is the 2nd highest scorer on their team. So now things aren't looking very well for the Detroit Pistons. You got Jay Smooth arguing with the ref. He gets a tech. These guys, the Detroit Pistons stopped playing within, I'll say, the third quarter, okay? They stopped playing, so the game was pretty much over. This is what I didn't understand, because Sixers fans are too busy cheering, too busy, raising hell. I knew they could do it. Ike Reese is talking about, they making me look smart. No, actually, what the Sixers did just was a slap in the face to everyone who's a fan, a real fan. Now, I'll explain, okay? Because I'll put it like this. The Sixers showed so much heart, so much intensity, stealing, rebounding, scoring with nothing. Everything was just clicking all night Saturday night. And I had to ask because they won by 30 points. So the question is, why didn't they do this 26 games ago? Huh? I'm trying to figure this one out. Matter of fact, let's take it back further. Why didn't they do this in November before Thanksgiving? Because that was the last time that they were at 500. See, this is what I don't understand. See, this is my logic. Okay? Everyone else is too busy cheering and saying, hey, we stopped snapping the streak. You should be worried about winning. And everyone has already admitted that they can't win. After the game was over, people said, yeah, we won. Now start losing again. Like, that's hilarious. It just goes to show you that nobody wants to be the worst. But what you fail to realize that we are still the worst. And Brett Brown, let me tell you something about Brett Brown, okay? He is a bad coach. And I say this not because of the losing season, all right? But we're talking simple X's and O's. You notice every time they talk about Brett Brown, the only thing he talks about, or they give him praise for, is his motivation of players. Okay, he's a good motivator, all right? But that's it. Every time we watch a Sixers game, there's no lockdown, there's blown coverages. Like, they're not getting back on defense. And like, too many three-pointers. The X's and O's, the matchups, they don't look right. Not to mention, Brett Brown has changed the lineup for this team 22 times. That's right. Signing players from overseas to come in on 10-day contracts. D-League players. How do you expect this team to even get a streak going to win if you keep messing up the chemistry? See, this is what I'm talking about. Right now, he's experimenting. That's what it is. It's a bunch of lab rats on the court right now, which means you don't even need a coach. You can get someone from the stands to coach him, all right? He's a good motivator, but he's not a good coach. Let's get it right. And if you don't believe me, you can go back and watch his post-game and his pre-game interviews from when the Sixers played against the Spurs. And he talked about how, you know, the numbers on how the Spurs, they had what? They scored, off of like 42 assists or something like that. Like, it was ridiculous on how in sync the Spurs were when they played because they know team ball and they know chemistry. And then you look at the Sixers and it's like, yo, we're a far cry away from that. And yeah, we're building to the future. And it was funny because the commentators, they kept saying it. It was like, yeah, you know, this is the way to the future. This is the way to the future. Yeah, you're tied for the worst record in the league, and this is the way to the future. Think about that. I understand that everyone's trying to sell high. I understand that. But I'm not buying. There's going to be a long time before the Sixers even make some noise. And I'm going to say this now, regardless who they get in the draft, it's going to take at least another 3-4 years. That's right. You have to understand that this team is not built for this. And I'll put it like this. Who's that? Henry Sims? He should be on the squad. Thaddeus Young should stay on the squad. Michael Carter-Williams, I'll put it like this. Right now, he has regressed immensely. I understand, like I explained quicksand to you people before about playing basketball or any sport when it comes to quicksand. When you try, harder to get something going, you actually play worse. But this guy is making a lot of bad decisions on the ball, shooting the ball in his spots, on the matchup, defensively. And granted, this guy doesn't get a lot of fouls. They don't give him a lot. They don't. All right? But you can't freak out either. And that's the thing. Brandon Jennings can go and talk to the ref and say, why don't you make that call? You can tech him twice back to back and throw him out the game, seriously, within like 5 seconds. Michael Carter-Williams will jump up, throw, freak out, nothing. Look, I've said this before. Referees, do your job. All right? You gotta call it down the middle. Your job, as we know in the NBA or any sport these days, referees pretty much dictate the flow of the game. But that's not what a referee is supposed to do. A referee is supposed to call it down the middle and call it fair. That's the entertainment part of sports, and it sickens me. Refs really need to do their job a hell of a lot better. They do. It's just, it's hard for me to watch at times. Like I said, that Pacers Heat game, I turned it off. I was like, I can't do this anymore. This is horrible. Because of the way they were playing. And then, of course, when I turned it off, everyone started telling me, oh, look at all the fouls, the elbows and all this stuff. I didn't care at that point because leading up to it was such a flop fest. I was like, I'm done with it. I'm done. And Pacers fans, I'm telling you now, if you realize your team is having struggles, and it hasn't really been that much until you got Evan Turner. I'm just saying, you need to watch yourselves on that one. That was a bad move as far as I'm concerned. Look, people, I want to move on. So Sixers fans, understand, before I move on, you're hypocrites. You really are. But it is funny to watch. It is. It's kind of entertaining to watch how these people go back and forth. Like I said, it's don't try to put on your Sixers shield at the high, a capture the moment type thing, a prisoner of the moment type deal and try to be a fan, and now you're not going to be around anymore. Anyways, I want to move on. I want to talk about MLB opening day. People, let's get something straight here. Today, MLB opening day. I told y'all before last season, I was very upset with Major League Baseball. I'm not going to talk about it much, right? Because of the fact that when they put those suspensions in place on those players and suspended them for 50 games, they suspended them early for 50 games because they wanted to make sure those players were back for the postseason, which means that's their money time for the MLB. I thought that was disrespectful. It hurts the integrity of the sport. if it has any integrity left as far as I'm concerned. But for those who don't know, the MLB this season has decided to institute some changes into their drug policy. You know, they're going, instead of 50 games now, you'll be suspended for 80 games. You'll miss the postseason. There's like a number of things that they're doing now. They're changing it. So as far as I'm concerned, we'll see how this goes. But I'm very disappointed still in the MLB for what they have done, especially last season. So right now, me and the MLB really isn't rocking right now. I find it funny how they want to talk about the integrity of their sport. You can come on YouTube and you can pull videos from users who upload, MLB highlights, but you can't take care of the players, cheating the game. That's pathetic. You really need to put your time and effort into something more serious, and fix what's in your wheelhouse, as far as I'm concerned. Now, I do want to say, with baseball, we've seen a lot of stupidity as of late from fans. And for those who don't know what's going on, how did this lady on Facebook, I don't know how she did this. How do you confuse Ryan Zimmerman with George Zimmerman and then have this outrage over his, over baseball? Really? Is that what we're on now? So you're in Marshalls, okay? And you see the Washington Nationals and it says, hit it like Zimmerman. Hit it like Zimmerman. And the first thing that comes to your mind is George Zimmerman? So once again, like we thought, why is this guy a celebrity? Well, how can he become a celebrity? Apparently, this is the first thing. If you're thinking that this guy who killed a kid is more valuable, that's the first thing that comes to your mind than an MLB All-Star. All right? Really? And you know what? Once again, I have to say maybe that's not just her fault, but that's the media's fault for keeping him in the spotlight. We can also blame them once again as well. All right? And speaking of the media, here we go again. I thought on Saturday we had talked about this before, about wide receiver. I can't even call him wide receiver 10 anymore because we don't know what number he's going to use. I'm getting ready to call him create a player, whatever number. All right? Listen, one day only I gave you the Deshaun Jackson thing. You know what I mean? But no. Understand, all right? I told you that there were going to be more reports and people were going to have more opinions on this. And ESPN once again opens their mouth about Deshaun Jackson. This time, they're saying that his alleged ties aren't a big deal. That's right. So all week last week, you made it a big deal. Now you're saying it's not a big deal.
NFL analyst Damian Woody. All right, your team needs a wide receiver. You're looking at Deshaun Jackson, 1 to 10. How concerned are you about the reports of some of the off-field issues that may be plaguing Deshaun Jackson?
Well, listen, I would probably say about a 3 or 4 right now. Look, these NFL teams, they're plugged into, the police department, or FBI, and all the different, departments or people per se that can investigate and find out the true details. Right now, we know a lot of speculation that's going on. We've seen articles and those type of things. But Jay, listen, football player. When you're dealing with football players, not everybody are choir boys on a football team. You have some junkyard dogs on the roster. That's just the bottom line. And as a former player, would I want a guy who can help me win football games? Because I'm in the winning football game business. I'm not in the business of judging other people. I want to win football games. And I know a guy like Deshaun Jackson, who's averaging over 17 yards per catch, who can change the field as far as punt returns. I want a guy like that on my football team. All right.
Now, before anybody says, well, that's just Damian Woody's opinion. No, understand, Damian Woody is a correspondent for ESPN. So what he says reflects what that station is about. Now, I know you'll probably see a lot of people say, oh, well, that's his opinions. That's not how the station really feels. No, it is if you're putting him on the air. Just like at your job, if you do something bad at work, guess what? It reflects that company as well. Do you get what I'm saying? Okay, now let's get into this because like I said before, all right, the outlandish, speculation of what's going on with Deshaun Jackson, that is a joke because you don't have any proof. If the FBI or whoever was involved, they'd have done something by now. People would be in jail. This would have happened a long time ago. They have nothing. So as far as I'm concerned, that needs to stop right there. That is not an issue. There is more to this than what they are telling us. Okay? Now, for him to say that he's in the winning football business, not the judging business, is a joke. And I'm going to explain this. This is where he loses all credibility, all right? We're going to take it all the way back. Pop Warner League. If you, on off-field antics, if you do not behave right and you do not make weight, guess what? You cannot play in certain divisions. Anybody who's played Pop Warner football knows that. In high school football, all right, if you do not keep, a certain grade level up and your behavior is not good, guess what? They won't let you play high school football. In college, if you don't have a good behavior record and you don't have a specific grade level, you cannot play college football. In the NFL, when you are an adult, a professional, guess what? You are held accountable for your actions. What he is saying is that he's going to try and go out and win football games regardless what these people do outside, really. So I guess you would take, this is the problem we have now when it comes down to, people like Dante Stallworth, when he was drinking and he saw the guy and he flicked his lights and the guy didn't respond, so he just kept driving instead of, actually putting on the brake. And just kept driving and killed the guy. Did we talk about that? I guess he would take and roll the dice on Aaron Hernandez too. I'm sorry, once again, Aaron Hernandez. Understand, saying something like that means you don't care about the morality of your players. When you have to understand that players are an investment and they are a reflection of that shield that says NFL. This is where Damien Woody fails. And I'll put it like this. Ex-football players like Damien Woody have no business being on TV and talking. He may have the experience of football, but not all of them are ready to have anything consciously good to say. If you need another example, look at Warren Sapp. As far as I'm concerned, this is something that ESPN needs to get a hold of. Any way you go about this, you've already stepped in at ESPN. To bring another guy on to say, oh, well, it's not a big deal. That makes things even worse. You cannot keep backtracking. You cannot do this type of damage control. What you need to do is offer an apology for even believing that article in the first place. And I guarantee you that NJ.com article, and this is where we have problems at, all right? Because they were so hungry to look for a story that they believed in that person. That person just got a big boost in credibility over that instead of being condemned for not having any proof. It is sad that this is what it's come to try and make a living. I mean, I guess it could be worse, but it's sad that you were willing to destroy a person's life, just so that your life can be better, so that you can possibly get a raise or something like that. Like Damien Woody had no business saying what he did. If that was the case, the NFL, because the NFL wants to make their players look like, whether it's illusion or not, they want to make them look like really good people, upstanding citizens. We see a lot of charities for the NFL. We see, the guy from Atlanta, who was that? Ward? I believe it was Ward back in the day. He would build houses with his bare hands. It's been so long. I mean, seriously, it is sad. No, Warwick Dunn. He's the one who did. He would build houses with bare hands and help people. Like, this is what the NFL wants to get away from. Because I put it like this, if it wasn't about that, and then, like I said, the Patriots wouldn't have released Aaron Hernandez so quickly if it wasn't about judging morality of players off the field. Understand, when you are not showing up to practices, guess what? That affects what you do on the field. Maybe not him in the wide receiver state, but as your team in practice if you're not there. Jesus. It's sad that this is the type of mentality that is going on in sports right now. But I guess it could be worse because Fox News, that's right. I don't know if this was a mistake or not, but they tied Deshaun Jackson into, you fans here in Philadelphia, watch out, because he might just steal your car.
Dramatic rescue.
Plus, are your car doors locked? The video that might make you go outside and check. Your news.
Please tell me that's a mistake. Please tell me there was just something in an editing where they messed up on the floor and that was... Come on, man. Like, seriously, you know what? It's Fox News. That's all I have to say on it. Now, look. I want to move on. I want to talk about this show that's on TV on AMC called Game of Arms. Now, I don't know if anybody feels as though arm wrestling is an actual sport, a legit sport. I don't know how you feel on that. But watching this show, man, it is intense. And it's not just intense, but it's also a little silly as well. And it's also, to see the way people act and everything, the training regimens and strategies on how to arm wrestle, it's very interesting. To see guys at 165 pounds completely destroy dudes at 400 pounds is crazy. You know what I mean? It is so intense. They just wait for that moment. And to see that these guys are everyday Joes, some of them used to be athletes. You have guys who are professional gamers. You have guys who, work the back at UPS in the stock room. You have fishing boat captains. It's amazing to see all these different lifestyles come together just to arm wrestle. It is amazing to watch, and AMC does, I feel, a great job at sucking you in when it comes to suspense. And to see guys, they almost break their arms. And look, the wrist of the human body is not meant to bend a certain way. And to see these guys, their hands, the way they bend when they're trying to pull away, man, it's crazy. It is an amazing show. I'm personally addicted to it, to watch it. You know what I mean? And a lot of it is, family inspired. A lot of guys say, I do it for my family and all this. And it's like some of these guys, it is the end all be all, where another of these guys are like, it's just family, lineage, their father's father, they're champions. They've been doing this for years. They have that pedigree to it. It's amazing to see all these different walks of life and to see that when it comes down to it, they're all the same. And of course they give you some drama, some guys will push each other or they'll get into a fight, and it's really not a fight. It's more like a wrestling match because they're not really punching each other. It's kind of funny to watch. You know what I mean? And these are grown men, big men. To see these guys, one guy is with his arm, they tie it to a motorcycle, and the guy's like trying to take off the motorcycle, and he's holding it with just one arm, like, nope, you're not going anywhere. Like, it's crazy to see what they're doing. They're pulling stuff, and man, it's amazing to see how strong men can get if they have that determination in training. Some of them are just physical freaks. Some of them just are. You know what I mean? But it's the same like if you go to a gym. And I've always said to guys who really like bench a lot and they're really big, because, you have that athletic ability, you have that strength. But sometimes that's all you have. With some of these guys, that's all they have. They can't run faster. They can't jump higher. They're not as agile. You know what I mean? Like, it depends on all walks of life. And when you see a 165-pound competitive gamer walk into an arm wrestling match and absolutely flush guys who are 400 pounds, destroy them with no problem, you know what I mean? And then will tap it 2 or 3 times to let you know, I own you, and look you right in the face. It's crazy to watch. I'm just like, wow, it's amazing. Technique, you know what I mean? It's adrenaline, like, it's something that I feel is really cool. I don't know how much they're going to go with this in the long run, but it's interesting just to see, just how this is all being put together. And just like I said, the way they shoot it and everything is really cool, I think. So I'm definitely interested in it. I will be watching more of it. It's very interesting. I never get a chance to catch it on the day that it airs, the night that it airs. I believe it's on Tuesdays. I always catch it like on demand so I can watch them like a couple episodes in a row. But still, it's still an amazing show. Congratulations to them for actually taking the gamble and putting this all together, because most of the arm wrestling goes in, they're either on docks or they're in warehouses or in slaughterhouses or, it's always something. And you have these groups of people who are just cheering them on, and their families are there and their children and almost like newborns are there. And I'm like, all these guys are yelling and you have a baby out there with them, like in this damp and, slaughterhouse. It's like your baby's immune system isn't ready for that, but whatever, right? I mean, you can't tell people how to raise their kids, even though you feel it's wrong, but whatever. Anyways, I'm done for the day. I said, any other news comes up, I'll talk about it some more sports-wise. Until then, we'll get back on the gamer front soon. I'll talk to y'all later. Y'all be safe. I'm out.